Pauline, thanks for joining us. What a shambolic day it's been in the nation's capital when it comes to these detainee laws. The Coalition and yourself and others don't want to pass them through the Senate yet. Why not?
Because we believe there should be a Senate inquiry into it. Also the Greens, they supported it as well, and it has to, Chris. I'm sick of seeing this government, this Labor Albanese government, put up legislation that is not scrutinised and we don't know what's in it. They had this legislation last Friday. We haven't seen it. You know, we get it the last minute. The opposition got it yesterday morning. They had it for 20 minutes. They pushed these bills through the Parliament without being scrutinised. So we've actually passed that there be a Senate inquiry into it, and it will have to be reported by the 7th of May and presented back into the Parliament on the first sitting day of the budget week. We're sick and tired of band-aiding everything, and then if they don't get it right, then we're in more strife than not, because then you've got more legal challenges. As they said, there is no hurry to rush it through. And I was told by the opposition that the current case before the courts at the moment with this Iranian man who's claiming now to be a homosexual, it's not the reason for this quick decision to be made. So there is time. Let's get it right and not create more havoc.
Well, Clare O'Neill, the Home Affairs Minister, has had a horror of a day in the corridors and in question time, but she says others are playing politics. Have a look.
We're very disappointed that the Liberals have decided to stymie our government's efforts.
Peter Dutton always says no. Peter Dutton always plays politics, and Peter Dutton refuses to act in the national interest.
Well, it's a pretty hard argument to run, given the opposition have been calling for laws like this for many, many months, and also the fact that he's got One Nation and, of course, as you mentioned, the Greens as well, all saying that this is rushed, shambolic. We've got to take our time and look at it properly.
Chris, last May, the government knew about NZYQ last May. They knew the decision was coming down. They had no plan B. They had no idea what they were doing. Then they released them all from the one decision was based on NZYQ to be released from the Parliament. Then, not released from Parliament, released from detention. Then they released the 149. Now they had no plan whatsoever. They are the most useless, incompetent government, and I see that in O'Neill and I see that in Giles. They should be thrown out of their portfolios. They don't know what they're doing. And I will not support something that's rushed through this Parliament. We've had a guillotine now on about 9 bills through the Parliament today that no debate, no nothing. That's what this government does. They reduce the hours of the Senate, or the weeks of the Senate, from usually around 18 to 14. So they've reduced the weeks in this Parliament to scrutinise bills. Like I said, they are not doing their job.
I think most fair-minded people would agree with your assessment of those two ministers. They're both absolutely floundering. But I've got to say, when you look at both major parties and both parties who have formed government in recent times, it is surprising when I know the laws get very complicated, but the basic intent of this law, that is to say, if a non-citizen has no right to be in Australia, it's an offence for them not to help in their own deportation. It's an offence for them to effectively stymie the system so they can stay here. I mean, that should have always been an offence. Why hasn't there been a law against that and a prison term on the end of that from the get-go?
That's right. And see, what I put up amendment to that, they're saying between 1 to 5 years. So if they don't work with the government to help their own deportation, that's under the grounds that they have no further rights to stay in this country. They have not been found to be a refugee, have rights to stay in the country, apply to stay here, and they don't have a current visa to stay in the country. So they've made it 1 to 5 years. I said, why don't you make it 25 years? I spoke to you about this when with the detainees. I said, and now they're putting in a 5-year term, jail term, if they don't comply with it. The whole fact is, Chris, that is not a deterrent to stop people to come by boat into the country or by plane to claim refugee status or claim now I'm a homosexual, I can't go back because they'll actually kill me to my country. If you put in that you don't comply with us, then a 25-year jail term, that will deter a lot of people even coming here in the first place. Make tough sentences. Well, 5 years is nothing to these people.
That's a debate that will now happen in the Senate when it reconvenes in more than a month, ready for the budget sittings. Thanks so much for joining us, Pauline. Appreciate it. Have a good Easter.